Jai Ganpati Dada. Hello everyone. So in today's live session, I'm going to try for the first time on my channel a live work. I haven't done this work before this video. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to connect Dialogflow CX to Openai Assistant function, or not function, but Openai Assistant. So recently Openai has released Assistant API. Let's say Openai Assistant API documentation. So yeah, so Assistant API. So I'm going to connect Dialogflow CX agent to Assistant API, and I'm going to use Google Cloud Platform to create my cloud function. So I'll be hosting my function on GCP Cloud Functions. So let's get started. And before we move forward, I have done few things. So I have first run this command. And again, before we move forward, we are going to use NodeJS or JavaScript to create this function. So I have run this command. So that will install Google Cloud Functions framework, and I have created this index.js file, which is just exporting a simple hello world. And yeah, I was trying few things before this. So yeah, so this will be our function or the webhook for Dialogflow CX. And yeah, so let's get started. So what I want to do is let's say here in system no match default, when you try here and when you say hi, it will say good day, how can I help you today? And when I say something, it will trigger system no match default. And here, instead of sending something from here, I want to connect it to a webhook. Okay, so I'll create new webhook and I'll say assistant hyphen, let's say API, and let's say timeout will be 10 seconds. Because sometimes there is a strong possibility that Openai Assistant API can take time. So I'll choose that. And also I have this token as well that I need to pass in order to test it. But yeah, let's do one more thing before that. So I'll run my ngrok on 8000. And I'm going to use this URL. Yeah, so I'm going to use this URL, and on the authentication part I'm gonna choose access token, and I'll say bearer, and I'll provide my oh sorry, it's not the token is here. Okay, I'm gonna provide my token, and yeah, I think this will work. I'll save this, and yeah, on the code part, yeah, this is the code. So I'll save this, and in order to run the functions locally, what you need to do is there is command here. Okay, yeah, this is the command. So functions target the name of your webhook. So function, in my case it's webhook, and then npx Google Cloud Functions framework. So I'll copy this, I'll run this. It will spin up a local server on 8080 port. So here in my ngrok I need to change it to 8080. So if I come here, yeah, we can see hello world. So my local machine or local server is exposed to internet through this thing. And yeah, if I come here, I have under webhooks, yeah, this is my webhook, but instead of this I need to change it to this, and I'll remove the last part as well, slash. So okay, so that means whenever I now say something which it doesn't understand, I'm not sure why, yeah, because it did not save it for the first time. Yeah, so I will remove all of this. I'll select, I come here, I'll select my webhook, and I'll say system hyphen default hyphen no hyphen match, just to make sure that this is system default no match. And if I do something here, yeah, it failed, doesn't matter. But if you see here, yeah, okay, there is no log here, but here you can see a request was made. And indeed, if I console log the request dot body part, hopefully we will able to see it. And for that I need to restart the functions, and if I come here and say something, yeah, you can see we got hit from Dialogflow, and you can see the text fulfillment info tag, that system default no match. Let me zoom a bit here as well. Yeah. So okay, I guess everything is set up now. Again, let me clear what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna connect Dialogflow CX and Openai Assistant API through JCP using cloud function. And what I have done till now is I have run this command. So it has installed a package, Google Cloud Functions Framework. And in order to use the functions framework, you need to do this thing, export your function name and then a simple JavaScript function. And that will receive two things, request and response. And with the help of this response, you can send the response back to the request coming to this webhook. Also, since I'm using two environment variables, Openai API key, let me do that example. I'm using two things, assistant underscore ID, which you get from your Openai platform, assistant platform, and then Openai underscore API underscore key. Again, you can get it from your Openai platform. Yeah, so I have done these things, and yeah, so now what I'll do is that first let me make sure that we can able to send response back to user through webhook. And let's say Dialogflow CX webhook response. Yeah, so here it's okay, request, and let's say choose this. Okay, so you need to send a fulfillment response. You need to send an object that will have fulfillment response. So let me create that. So I'll say const format response for Dialogflow, and that will receive a message. And payload, I'm not going to use payload, but I'll explain why I took the payload part. Okay, that will be a simple arrow function, and let's say let response data equals to this. Oh, sorry. Oops. Data equals to this thing. Oops, I'm doing blunders here. So let's do this. Okay, that will be an object again, which has messages, which is a list, which has again an object, which is it has text. Okay, it has text, which is an object, my bad, which has text, is an object again, which has text and list of string, and this allow. Okay, so I'm not sure we're going to use this, but I'm going to use this as well. So again is a list, object, which is a list, and here will go our message. Okay, message. Okay, so here instead of sending this, I will return response data, and here I'll say, okay, let me keep that so that in case we want to debug that, here I'll say, let's say const response data, that will be format response for Dialogflow, and I'll say from the webhook. Okay, and instead of sending this, I'll send the response data, and hopefully this should work. So I'll run the functions again, and if I come here and if I say something, yeah, okay, so it worked from the webhook. I have experience building cloud functions on Firebase as well. So the Firebase functions have a facility to hot reload. So when you save something, it will reload the server as well, local server. So it was good, but it's okay. And in the payload part, what I want to do is that there is a strong possibility that we want to send something, or we want to keep something in the session of Dialogflow. So let me come back here, and yeah, there is a payload property, and which can be an object. So what I'll do is that I'll store my thread IDs here. Okay, so I'll say if let's say this equals to, for example, empty string. So if payload equals to empty string, or let's say not equal to empty string, then what I'll do is that I'll append a key here that will be payload, and that will be equal to my payload. And let's try this as well. So let's say const payload equals to, let's say, some key, some value, and I'll send it here, payload. Okay, let me save this, and again we need to stop this and start this. I think I'm gonna do this a number of times. Yeah, we got it. And if I yeah, original response, if I see it here, oh no, not this one, I guess. Yeah, oh sorry, yeah, we got it here. Webhook payload, which is some key, some value. And if I try this again, this will be there. Okay, oh no, it's not there. I think I need to save it in session info. Okay, let's do it. Yeah, session info. Let's say session info. Okay, I'll format that afterwards. So session info. Yeah, parameters. So we are getting session info, and inside that we have session. So I'm not sure if here session info is there. And okay, I guess I should just get this first. Okay, and append something to that. Let's say let session info equals to request dot body dot session info, and session info dot parameters. Okay, session info. Okay, so I'll say session info. Okay, parameters equals to this thing. So this will be now kept in the session, and I'll explain why I need that in a bit. So if I say something, हाँ एकदम मजा. Okay. Oh, payload is not defined. Yeah, I know payload is not defined. Yeah, and okay, you can see, sorry for the small disturbance. Okay, yeah, so you can see that it is there, some key, some value. So now if I fire the request again, yeah, that will be there. So what I'll tell you why we are doing this. So in the parameter, we will, so the way Assistant API works is that first you create an assistant, then you add a message to the thread. Now when you, so first you create a thread and then add a message to the thread, then run check for the status. If the status is complete, then you extract the message, last message, and whatever assistant has replied, you can reply it back to the user. So now you need to map the thread ID with the current session ID. So instead of storing it anywhere and every time retrieving, I'll create my thread ID, or I will add my thread ID into the session info. So till my session leaves, my thread ID will be there, and I'll be checking if there is parameters property, and it has session ID, oh sorry, thread ID of Openai API, then it's okay. Otherwise, I'll store it. So yeah, so we have done that. Now let's let's do this part. Okay, so I'll choose Node.js, and for that I need to install OpenAI. So I'll stop this and I'll say npm install OpenAI. Okay, so let me create a new, let's say, OpenAI API .js, and here I will write all the functions that is needed for OpenAI, and I'll first go to quick start. Okay, Node.js, install Node.js to yeah. So let's do this. Okay, yeah, and here we'll say my I guess it will take an object, and there will be API key, and here I'll use the API key from environment variables. Okay, and I'll say process.env .openai underscore API underscore key. Yeah, this is fine. Okay, so we have initialized it. Okay, so now let's go to this assistant API. We have assistant. Okay, so I'll copy this. So what we need to do is we need to create a thread. So I'll create a thread, then add a message to the thread, then I'll run the thread. Okay, once the thread is running, I'll retrieve the status. If the status is done, then I'll retrieve the messages, and hopefully from that we will do that. So this creates I think this create thread ID. Okay, so this create I think takes assistant ID. So I'll say process.env assistant underscore ID. So as I said, I have both the variable in my env file, so it will take it from there. Thread ID and body. Okay, so since thread is mapped to our assistant ID, we don't have to worry about it. Console.log thread. Let me do that. Okay, then message. So I will add the message into thread. Let me console.log message as well, and we will run it with the thread ID. Okay, let's say I'll say retrieve run. Okay, I'll console.log run as well, and then I will let's say while let's say let a flag equals to true. So you understand that we need to retrieve the status of the thread until the condition until some conditions are matched. So that's why I have used this flag, and once the flag is false, so I'll say if some condition, then I'll do flag equals to false. And yeah, so if I do here retrieve run dot status, status equals to completed. So this is the thing we are looking for. So if the status is completed, then we will exit from this. And after that, after that, if we console dot log the messages, hopefully we will see our response back. Okay, so yeah, let me run this. Hopefully, fingers are crossed. I have actually used the Assistant API couple of times, but not with JavaScript, and it was a while back when it launched first. So I'll say Openai API. Oh, okay. So let's say const Openai equals to, I think I need to wrap it into require. Okay. Oh yeah. Okay, so you can see that there are so many await functions. So I need to create something, let's say const let's say main for now. That will be an async function that will take nothing at this point, and then I will do everything inside it. Okay, and I'll call the main function. Oh, sorry, yeah. Oops. Where it failed. Oh, Openai make request. I guess it is not able to get the, I'm not sure. Okay, so let me console log the Openai, but when I do that, okay, let me go to quick start and let me go to NodeJS. Oops, it is saying to use like this way, but it fails that way. Okay, let me do something. GitHub, I have there. Let's say Openai, and anything that goes with JavaScript. Okay, this way it should work. Let me check which version was it. Openai 4.5.0 and 4.26, so I'm not sure that would work. Okay, let me do this way, but it is throwing an error. Namespace. Okay, let's do this way. Oops. Okay, let me check if I have done a recent work which uses OpenAI. Yeah, OpenAI. Okay. This is not working. Let's try this part. I'm not sure it's so since I'm using this, I'm sure I'm getting the environment key. Okay. Okay, let's do this thing. Let me console log this OpenAI class and let's see what happens. Okay, so yeah, it is the class. Okay, and it has all the things: chat, embedding, files, audio, beta, assistant thread, run, messages. Okay, everything is there. So I guess I'm not getting the OpenAI API key, and okay, let's do one thing. I'll delete the API key after I do this thing, so we can be sure of the process and the flow that it is working or not. Okay, yeah, so I see that there was a key. Okay, so let me go step by step, but it is okay. Let me do this way. Maybe this can be a problem. Okay, there is no response, but let me do that. We are sending back, and okay, let me do this. Console.log, I'm here. Okay, I'm here. Then body assistant ID field not permitted. Okay. Why is this so, man? Create, but when you want to create a thread, obviously you need to, it says create is any. When you obviously want to create a thread, you need to provide your assistant ID, I guess. So yeah, this was the first step where it failed. Okay. So let's go to overview, and here in Node.js, okay, the thread represent conversation, creating a thread, creating a message, Node.js. Okay, but when you create a thread, you don't have to manage one to thread assistant. Okay, so in order the assistant to understand this, that the thread belongs to it, we need to pass the assistant ID for sure. OpenAI becomes any. Let's try this way. Yeah, so okay, now it that will be process.env.assistant_id. Okay, let me hopefully. Okay, it says that body assistant ID field not permitted. Let me do this way. What it says. Yeah, assistant is not defined, obviously, because you have created the thread. This is your thread. Then you put a message on the thread, and when you want to run the thread, obviously you need assistant ID. Okay, my bad. Process.env.assistant_id. okay, my bad. Okay, so we created a thread, we put message on the thread, we ran the thread, and we are checking the thread status. And once the thread status will complete, or the run is complete, we should see something there. Let's wait for that, obviously. Oh, it's taking too much time. I should have written hi instead of these things. Okay, let's say just okay, let's do this thing. I'll say query, and I'll pass my query here. Also, I'll say, let's say thread ID equals to, okay, thread ID, and I'll say if thread ID equals to empty string, then only I will create a thread. Otherwise, I'll retrieve the thread. Okay, await, I'm sure there will be something to retrieve. Okay, beta dot threads dot retrieve. Yeah, and it will take thread ID, that will be my thread ID that I'll be passing. Okay, and could not find thread. Okay, it's totally fine. Let's see. Oh, it's still running. I'm not sure my internet connection is okay or not. Let me see if I'm live or not. I haven't yet. Okay, if I go to content, live session, yeah, I'm live, I guess. Okay. Oh, but it took like forever. So we have, okay, let's do one thing. Let me stop this, and if I come here, okay, what I need to do is that, let's say let thread equals to undefined, and then I'll do this. So it will Okay, and here I'll say hi and I'll put empty string. So that means create a new thread. Okay, hopefully. Yeah. Oh, yeah, undefined. It's totally fine. Undefined. And if you, okay, now everything went well. So these are the retrieved thread messages here. So if I data and then I think the 0th location, if I take the 0th location, that will give us the, yeah, that has given us the response. And if I just for yeah, content content is list, and then yeah, text, content text is an object again. I'm not sure, let's do this. So yeah, okay, and it has a value. So it has a value. So if I run this, yeah, okay, so it went well. Actually, I thought to face issues, but we somehow, so let me clean this and I'll say ask the assistant. Okay, and I'll export this module dot exports ask the assistant. Okay, so yeah, let me walk you through again. So either we will return, means we will pass the thread ID into ask the assistant, otherwise we will just pass the query, and based on the thread ID, either we create a new thread or we retrieve a thread. Let me retrieve the thread ID and let's see what happens. So this thread is running there, and oopsie. Okay, let me do that. So we will be sure of its thing. Yeah. Okay, and I want to return this thing. Okay, let me call ask the assistant, and I'll again say hi. I'll pass the thread ID this time, and let's print the response, and let's catch the error in case any. So yeah, so let me do that. Okay, meanwhile it does its thing, I'll wrap this code into try and catch, so we don't, run into error during the actual execution. And here I'll say return we are facing a technical issue at this time. Okay, I'll return this. Okay, and also I'll console log the error by saying error at our function name. Okay, so let me save this. Yeah, we got the, okay, Okay, so that works. So let me remove this since we are done with this part. Yeah, so now I'll come here and oh, it went too up. Okay, I guess I have cleared the, so what I'll do is that I'll run the functions again, and if I send a request from this CX, yeah, we got everything here under text property. That will be our query. So oops, let's keep that. Okay, let's say const query equals to request dot body dot text, I guess. Yeah, text, and that will be our request and our session info. And I'll say how to check. Okay, has its own property, has own property JavaScript. Yeah, this is the one. Okay, so if so, let's say let thread id equals to an empty string at this point, and I'll say if session info dot has its own property called parameters. Okay, and inside that let's say if session info that has its own property, let's say thread id, because this is what we're going to set. Okay, so if this is the case, then my thread id will be session info dot parameters dot thread id. Okay, I'll set that. Otherwise my thread id will be an empty string. And in case if it is the case, then I want to set thread id as well. So what we need to do is here, instead of returning only this, we need to return two things. Okay, assistant reply is this, and my thread id is thread dot id. And if this is the case of error, then I'll say assistant reply is this, and my thread id is, let's say, an empty string, cause yeah, let's say an empty string, cause there may be possibility that we are facing issue at the very beginning, and that will lead to an error. Okay, so I'll say let otherwise let's say const assist ask the assistant response equals to await ask the assistant. Okay, so import is there, and I'll say query is my query and thread id is my thread id. And since Okay, let's just set the thread ID all the time. It doesn't hurt anymore, means anyhow. Okay, so we always set the thread ID, and I'm not sure, but this should work. Okay, so if I come here and if I say who are you, okay, and hit enter, hopefully, yeah, we came here, we have the request, we are generating the response, and we send from the webhook. Yeah, cause we did not, boom, ask the assistant response dot assistant reply, and this should be ask the assistant response dot thread ID. Yeah, because we need to set the thread ID from here. Okay, let me save this, and if I hopefully I say who are you again, yeah, we got the request. I think it is processing it. Yeah, I am an assistant developed by Openai. Okay, I guess it is done now. So now the final step here is to, yeah, let me make sure that we are receiving something. So express request headers. Request headers. Okay, let me do this, because I'll tell you one more thing about the functions, because I was facing issue. So yeah, yeah, hi, and I'll say who are you again. Oh, I did not. Who, what can you do? Okay, this time new question. Yeah, so you can see that I am sending this authorization, because what happens is that your function, someone can call your functions in a while loop and hang your function. So what you can do is that when you create your function, go to function and testing and run in Cloud Shell. So it will initialize that, and if you print this variable, you will get the token, and then you can use the token to verify your request. So I guess this should work. And if I come here now, in order to deploy the function, you need to run a command, this command. Okay, so gcloud functions deploy function name, trigger, http, and runtime. I'll paste this, and hopefully this will deploy the function. So I'm sure that you have gained some knowledge, and if you do so, please consider subscribing to my channel. It helps me to grow. And if you have any issue running the code, I'll push the code on my GitHub so that you can get it. And if you get the code from my GitHub, please consider giving the repository a star. That helps. Thank you for watching. Peace.